Here we are for part 2 of this week's edition of Backpage Blues. I'm still joined by Charlie the Hurricane Skillen from the Mail Online.
It's really caught on that name.
Absolutely. This is the part of the show where we answer your questions. So firstly, thank you so much for getting your questions into us. We've had loads and we really, really appreciate it. So please keep them coming. We may as well make a start and get through as many of them as possible. I'm going to start with Harold Haroldson. He asks, do we think that Eden Hazard can become Chelsea's greatest ever player?
Ooh.
I'm going to let you answer first, Charlie.
Okay, all right. I certainly hope so. Having said that, you know, don't listen to anyone that tells you Chelsea's got no history. We've had so many great players over the years, you know, players that my dad and granddad watched, like Peter Osgood, Ron Harris.
Jimmy Greaves.
Goes back years.
Goes over 100 years.
Then later sort of Kerry Dixon, then people that we would have watched growing up, like Dennis Wise and Zola.
Yeah.
More recently, you got John Terry, Frank Lampard. He would have to do something special to be talked about in that breath, but I really hope he is. You know, I think he's. I've said before. I think I said last week. I think he's the most talented player to play for Chelsea since Zola.
Yeah.
I think if he carries on carrying such a great side like we are now, I think he could well be spoken about in those terms.
There's no reason why his name won't be mentioned in the future alongside players like Peter Osgood, Frank Lampard, and John Terry. Yeah. Absolutely no reason. He's got all the talent. He's probably the most natural football player I've ever seen play. And I don't really think there's a flaw in his game. I think people sometimes highlight the goals, but I don't think it's fair. I don't think it's fair. And I think that it's a good question. I think that absolutely there is no reason why he can't be one of Chelsea's greatest ever players. Good question, Harold. Really good.
Just while we're strolling down memory lane, Dylan Rock and Roll.
What a name.
Great name. Has asked, apart from the Champions League final in Munich, what is the greatest ever Chelsea game you've been to?
Okay, one.
Just one.
I'm going to go for 1997. I was young, I was quite young, and Chelsea played Liverpool in the FA Cup. We were 2-0 down at half-time, and we were practically out of the competition. A few substitutions were made. Mark Hughes came on famously, and the game turned, and we won 4-2. And to this day, I don't think I've seen Stamford Bridge rock the way it did that day. It was absolutely incredible. And to top it all off, we went on to lift the cup that year. Yeah. And I think that it really set the ball rolling with as a club, our appetite for winning trophies. And I think that game will live with me until my dying day. It was superb.
Completely agree. That's an amazing game.
Were you there?
Well, I was too young to be there. I was 7. I do remember watching it there.
I was on the benches. Yeah, I was on the benches. I can remember it clear as day. Yeah, it was incredible.
Yeah. Was a great game. I'm going to go. There's so many in between that one and the one that I'm going to say. I'm just going to say something from the Champions League run. I'm going to say Napoli at home.
Oh yeah.
You know, it was a real turnaround of that season. You know, Villas-Boas completely mucked the first leg up, and then the second leg we had Di Matteo in charge.
Incredible.
The whole
we were out,
club.
weren't we? We were out.
We were out. We were completely out.
It was so good.
The whole, again, you know.
Can you believe after that game, this infuriates me. After talking about this game, thinking what an incredible memory it is, some people have the gall to disrespect Branislav Ivanovic, who pops up with a... How can you? How can anybody dislike that man after what he did that day?
Yeah, I can't remember celebrating many goals like I celebrated Ivanovic's goal.
It was absolutely
and again, you know, you talk about that FA Cup game, and you know, I remember that FA Cup game very well. The bridge was really rocking for Napoli. It
really was. Do you know what? I was just going to say this as well. Sometimes people forget. You know, all the plaudits went to the home game. Yeah. When we were away, we were 3-1 down, and we were just about to go 4-1 down, and Ashley Cole cleared one off the line. Hero. It's so important that people remember that. He kept us in the competition because we wouldn't have pulled it back from 4-1. It would have been over. Another brilliant question. Really enjoyed it. Ted the Sloth. He basically wants to know: can Dom Solanke become Chelsea's undisputed number 9?
I wouldn't say next season, certainly not.
No.
I think Mourinho is definitely a fan of him. He's been one of these that's been in and around the first team. You know, people like Izzy Brown, Loftus-Cheek, Andrew Christensen. He's kind of in that group that could very well, you know, make it. Mourinho's a big fan. I think next season the plan for him will be to go on a loan, which he hasn't done yet. I think, you know, I think people kind of roll their eyes at a loan, but I think...
No, they're good. They're great for development.
I'm hoping it's going to be one of those where he goes away to a lower league in England maybe, or even abroad, and learns trading and comes back a more rounded player.
I agree, because he's too good for the youth team.
Yeah,
he's too good. Yeah. He scored 41 goals, I think it is now. He scored another hat-trick the other day. Yeah. He can't be developing enough. No. Playing with people he's just far too good for.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. He's above that stage now. That's why I think he'll be loaned out. And, you know, there's no reason that he can't come back. If he applies himself, that he can't come back and feature heavily.
Yeah, I agree. We have a question here. Now, this is a first for Backpage Blues Part 2. We have a question not from a comment on YouTube. It's a question
Who's it
from,
from?
well, it was given to me, the question was given to me in person, but it's from a dear friend of mine. He's somebody who I sit next to at football. His name's Del Mini, and the question's actually come in from his dog. The picture is up now. That's Hugo. We love Hugo, we love Del. His question is, who is the best away support that we saw at Stamford Bridge this season?
That's a tough one. It's a good one from Hugo. You know what? I think it was such a terrible day for us, but I thought the Bradford fans were incredible. I mean,
It came down in their droves, didn't they? It must have been about 6,000.
Yeah, as you would expect for such, a historic day for them.
But QPR didn't bring that, did they, when they played us in the cup?
No,
so.
Exactly. So their support was deafening on what was a terrible day for us. I think there's a point to be made that the atmosphere in the Premier League generally is declining. It's not just Chelsea. We've spoken about the atmosphere at Chelsea before. But away fans do always bring it, and Chelsea got fantastic away support as well as anyone who went to the Leicester game recently.
Our away support's good. Obviously, we've got issues at home, like most clubs.
Well, but who's the best fans that you've seen at Stamford Bridge this season?
I'm going to give the award to Manchester United, but there's a caveat. It's not for their performance this season. I think this season their support was slightly down on it's cumulatively over the last 10 years. Manchester United's support at Chelsea has always been brilliant. Really loud, really partisan, really passionate, and they always come down in their droves and support the team really vocally. This season, it's very hard to pick a winner because a lot of teams have been off their game, United included, and like one of my dear friends, a United fan, admitted that he doesn't know what's going on. But hopefully the support in the Premier League with this 20s Plenty campaign will pick up.
Yeah, we've got one last question. And now, I've got to ask this, we've done it before, but we literally get 27 of these every single video. When is Rory ever going to get a haircut? Can you sort it out?
For God's sake, there's nothing wrong with this. It's just a very tidily parted hair going back. What more do you want?
Well, exactly. And I'll tell you what, Sam Merritt asked that question. Sam, if you think that's bad, you should have seen him 5 years ago. My God.
Absolutely not. You can't display that.
My God, terrible, terrible. Just count yourself lucky.
You were my mate back then. I can't believe I'm off. I've had enough of this. Sod you.
What? Thanks for watching. Make sure you get your comments in for next week. We'll answer all your questions. He's really not a happy boy. Don't do that again. I've got to go and find him now.